Yo, yo, yo. All right, we're back. It's been a few weeks, maybe a month since I did an update video. It's been a long time, no talk. Haven't filmed anything as far as the process goes, but some people like just bigger updates and, you know, seeing the progress, more things getting done than one item here and there. So that's what we did. We were grinding on this thing for a few weeks straight. Not a whole bunch is done, but visually it looks more complete, I would say. And as far as the items we did get done, they were key items that needed done. Sounds redundant, but they were things that my buddy said the elephant in the room kind of situation. So I'm happy with it, and the reason I want to update you now rather than wait another few weeks when there's more to go over is the next few weeks are going to be piddly small stuff that really they're kind of finishing up items, so to speak. So yeah, I mean, let's just get into it. Let's just go over what's done, and I'll show you guys how it's sitting currently at this time. And by the way, I'm hoping to have this video up before Christmas, so Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy holidays, and yeah, hopefully you get some badass stuff, maybe side-by-side parts, but yeah. So here's the way it's sitting right now. Last time we talked, I think we were talking about doing door bars. We were trying to figure out how to do that. You know, we wanted to make this to where it had a single door on the driver's side. So that's what we did. I showed you that we ordered a swing bar kit. That's exactly what we placed. We designed the doors in a way that the driver's side is easy to get in and out, and also that seat can come in and out that way as well. So, I mean, it took a little of planning, mapping out in my head how to make that work as far as giving enough leg room, but still have it be structurally strong. But I'm happy with the way it turned out. This one doesn't have all the bolts in it because I'm going to pop that off here in a minute and show you what else we've been working on. But we started to make, you know, a hood-ish panel for it. It's going to look something like that. I'd like to do one down the middle of the roof just for rain purposes. Most of the time, I think that panel will not be in. But there's how that turned out. A single bar here in the middle, and obviously this bar that runs from the A pillar to the B pillar. Yeah, I really dig the way that looks. We did end up putting the bungs in that back bar like I was telling you, so that bar is removable and you can put a cherry picker in there and pull the engine. But here is the swing bar setup. It still needs finish. There's a little bit of tweaking that needs to be done. I'll show you exactly what that is. The first thing being that I need to put something in here for the door frame that stops it from swaying. It's kind of hard to see, but the door sways like this due to the tolerances in this bar having some give, maybe some nylon washers, but this panel does sit flush when the door is sitting right, but you let it sway, and that'll be a rattle trap as well. So I'm thinking maybe on this bar here, something here to limit this arm from moving. But it's just got a pin here, and this is reversible. You can put that bolt in the front if you wanted it to swing the other way. Obviously, it won't now that we fasten this panel here, but if you wanted to, it wouldn't be that hard. You can unbolt that panel there and get this door to where it swings. So the door, you pull the pin and the door swings out. There you can see the frame we made to mount that panel to. Yeah, I mean, pretty self-explanatory. I do plan on throwing a bar in here to this dash bar on both sides just to support this tube from going in if it's laid on its side or when it's laid on its side. Might do something similar there as far as a gusset goes. Yeah, I mean, that would just be the final finishing touches on it. But yeah, put something here to stop that door frame from swinging in more. And then the driver's door is pretty much finished. We did do kind of an inlay panel look. It's my first time, so I mean, the seams and the gaps aren't perfect, but you know, it looks good for what it is. I'm happy with the way it turned out. Bending that firewall sheet, being that this is, I think it's 14 gauge, maybe it's 16, I don't know. It doesn't bend super easy, so to get that to wrap around and then still fit nice, as far as gaps, be inlaid, and it was just a nightmare. So I mean, we had a day, I would say, in just each firewall panel, and I still want to redo the other side. So not totally satisfied with how that one came out, but I mean, it's one of those things, as you do it, you get more comfortable and you learn, and it just gets easier. So, I mean, if we were to redo it now, I think it would go a little bit smoother and probably fit a little bit better. And I have the metal to do it, so I probably will end up redoing the one on the passenger side. But that's how that looks. I think it turned out great. Like I said, this has only got a few bolts holding this side in because I'm going to pop that off. I will probably do that now. Get the seat out of there, the shifter, the wheel, and show you what else we've been up to. All right. Just like that. Magic of editing. Door skins are off and the bunch is taken off. So this is what else we've been working on. So we went ahead and decided this was going to be the final place for the fuel tank and got to work making one. Like I said, it's going to sit behind this little dash panel, dash bar, blah, 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 shifter mount. Still hoping I can fit some switches somewhere in here, but this is going to be our fuel tank design. Obviously, it's stepped down for the pump to sit in there. It's got the threaded on ORB weld-in bung, so to speak. This is 1/8" aluminum. We did end up cutting up RPM, Pro R reservoir tank or expansion tank or whatever they call it, the external extra onboard fuel tank. But yeah, they were nice enough. That was an R&D model. So we kind of stole their filler neck and a few other things to make our own tank. So shout out to them guys. Awesome products. You know the deal. So we think that this tank, the dimensions math out to holding around 6.5, maybe a little bit more gallon. But we won't know until it's welded out, and then we can just fill it with water or something and try to find out exact size. But I wanted something that was big enough to where we could go on these rides and I wasn't having to get fuel every couple hours, you know, so. But I think 6.5, 7 gallons will be about right. We do need to still figure out a rollover valve, which I'm thinking there's an AN fitting on that filler neck right there. I'm thinking get some kind of braided or fuel rated or whatever line and do an inline rollover valve off there, maybe vent it into the cage somewhere. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I wanted to show you this before it gets welded out. Today I'm going to make some mounts for it to get it secured and up off the floor of the machine. So, and I didn't show you, but the way we mounted these door panel skins is these trick tabs. They're just off Amazon. They're threaded. Use a stainless bolt, but yeah, they got little ears on them. You can weld them in place. That's probably how I'll end up mounting the tank as well, welding some trick tabs to the tube somewhere or the floor, and then build an aluminum tab off the tank, drill a hole through it, so on, so forth, mount that bad boy. But yeah, I'm pretty excited with how it turned out. It's stepped, it's slanted down, fuel should flow down into it. I left the shifter in to show you the clearance. I can take it out, take the lid off, kind of show you what we did for a baffle. I'm not too confident. I've never made a fuel tank before. I'm not 100% sure the baffle design we went with is going to be the best, or even work for that matter, but it's what we went with. You know, you kind of just go with the flow and do what you think is the best route per your knowledge and research. So again, you guys will be able to tell me if it's going to work or not, but it'll probably be too late. The tank will be welded shut by the time you guys see this. So I'll get the shifter off, I'll pull that lid off, I'll show you the inside, what it looks like. And also for you slops, I want to show you how because this is 4 pieces, this tank is. I do not own a brake, so I want to show you what we did in order to make these panels, because the bottom to the front here is 1 piece, and then obviously this top that's stepped and goes down, stepped again, that's 1 piece, and then the 2 sides. So it's 4 total pieces. So less weld, the better. But I'll show you how we did that. I think it was pretty neat. My buddy came up with the idea. He was just brainstorming. He's like, let's do this. I'm like, all right, sounds great. So I'll get that shifter off. I'll show you inside the tank. We'll go from there. All right, so here is inside the belly of this tank. And this is what we went with as far as a baffle setup goes, is just 2 panels, cut to length. One has probably 2-inch hole drilled there, and the other one has 2 drilled there. The idea there is they are, God, this is not a good angle with all these bars, but they are laid back. There you go, you can see it. They're laid back, and they're just lightly tacked in here. Let me, all right. So yeah, it's just a plate. Zoom out. Just a plate, and it's gonna sit in there laid back like this, so that as the fuel rushes forward towards the front of the tank, this kind of like stops it, and then obviously it can still flow through it, but it's got a snake through the middle hole there, and then those 2 back holes to slide to the front of the tank. So that way, when I'm on an incline, like I said, the fuel rushes forward, it's gonna hit this plate, it's gonna all slosh forward, hit that plate, get stopped, have to go under or up and over, is the idea. Obviously the sock and the fuel pump is gonna sit right here. I'm hoping that pans out and works. Again, like I said, I don't really know much about baffling a tank. I've never built a tank before, so that was what I came up with. I'm hoping it pans out. If not, won't be baking another fuel tank there. So price of aluminum is insane. I think to buy the sheet to make that fuel tank was like almost $300, and it was a 5x4 foot sheet. So aluminum's not cheap, so I didn't want to mess it up. And also, I wanted this to be the final resting place of the tank. As we discussed in prior videos, it would have been real easy to put it back here. Ideally, I would have liked to have had it over the diff to get the volume we wanted out of the tank. That really wasn't an option, being that there's so much going on up there. It would have been a nightmare to try to get, more than 2 or 3 gallons. It would have been real easy to get a whole bunch of volume back here, but then all the weights in the back, these things like to flip over. I like to flip over. Not ideal having all the way back there. A little bit spread out goes a long ways. So that's pretty much it for the tank. I mean, like I said, we got to make some mounts. It doesn't sit on the floor over there, so maybe we'll do like a piece of aluminum stock or something with a grommet of some sorts touching the floor there. That's another thing is I got to count for vibration. Being it's aluminum, I don't want it to crack. So however we mount this thing, we got to take that into consideration as well. So how we bent that, I'll come over here, it's a freaking mess in here, but we ended up taken some angle iron, welded it to a plate here. It's 8 inches across here, and the plate itself was 7. Took this piece of angle iron, welded a little push ram onto it, so to speak. Put the sheet in there, pressed down with the vise. These two made it together like so. Gave us our 90s on the sheet of aluminum. So yeah, that panned out really well. Just took some time, you know, making sure everything was squared up. We were bending the sheet straight across and whatnot. But overall, not a bad deal. Not having a break. Worked out great. It's a Harbor Freight press and just a chunk of angle iron. So pretty neat. Oh, one thing else also is I did end up plumbing some of the coolant. Most of the hoses are accounted for and routed. A lot of different sizes. That's not permanent. That's getting changed. A lot of different sizes of hose. So, I mean, it was a lot of just like, okay, we need a 90 here. We need a this to this size, blah, blah, blah. So that's that. I did, after doing a little bit of playing around with the coolant, routing, decide we more than likely are going to have to run a reservoir. Being that the turbo needs coolant, since this is a Pro XP, and then the cylinder head has that port on it as well. So I didn't want to have to add into a feed or a return to get coolant to the turbo and from the cylinder head. So I think it'll just be easier to run like a Pro XP style. Also, there's the 2 ports, one on top of the intercooler, one on top of the radiator that flow coolant as well. So running something like this with the ports for the turbo and the cylinder head, and also the returns for the radiator, will be a lot simpler. We're thinking mounting it, you know, somewhere in here, or maybe even trying to sneak it up here in front of the radiator. Not too sure yet, but I'm thinking that's the move, is running a reservoir, just so we don't have to try to find places to run these lines back to or from. So it just simplifies things. I didn't want to run a reservoir if I didn't have to, just to keep it a cleaner look, so to speak. But I have a feeling clean is not my forte. You guys can tell me. I don't think it's as clean as it could be. But yeah, that's where we're sitting right now. I think that come the next few weeks and videos, this thing is gonna start getting dialed. We got some headlights for it. We got some rock lights we gotta put in it. Obviously it needs blown apart and fully welded. We still gotta make some skid plates, get some UHMW. Bash plates underneath still need done. I'm trying to think what else is gonna go on in the next few. Battery tray, I need to finish wiring. But yeah, once the fuel tank, I know I ramble and I jump subject to subject, ADD or ADHD, one of the two, but the fuel tank, once it's complete and it's gonna be welded here in the next few days, I mean, really a battery and some power, a splash of fuel, I don't have to have the coolant lines dialed or the reservoir figured out, but I can hear this thing run, which is really scary and cool at the same time, because if you guys haven't been following along, this engine trans and part of the diff came out of a Pro XP that burned to the ground. So I turned it over by the clutch when I went and looked at it. I bought it super cheap. Supposedly it's like a couple 100-mile machine or drivetrain, but I don't know that it runs. We replaced a ton of sensors, a ton of hoses. Yeah, so I mean, once we get some power and fuel to it, I mean, we'll find out if that thing's junk, and then obviously I'm set back a couple thousand. I mean, the transmission should be all right regardless of if it was in a fire or not. I had it apart. I looked at all the gear sets. Everything looked good. We did a gear reduction in it, so I know that that's good, but the motor or the engine is to be determined. I think it'll be all right. I think you guys will let me know what you think. 50-50. But yeah, once we get that fuel tank dialed, it's ready to run. Hook some things up, put some fuel in it. So yeah, over the next few weeks, this thing's gonna probably be running. Oh yeah, so deadline originally was Thanksgiving. Obviously that was overshot. There's just so much work to be done. But we are going to be attending and going to the off-road games in Sand Hollow, March 14th-ish. I'll have to look. But we're going to be there with this machine and maybe one or two other machines. But we're going to do some riding. We're going to be out there. We're going to check the place out. We're going to put this thing to the test. So ideally, I'd like to have it done February-ish to be able to take it local and make sure nothing crazy is going on before we haul it 14 hours to Sand Hollow and truly test it there and find out something silly is going on. So I'd like to have it done February, ride it one time, and then send it to Sand Hollow and see how bad we can mess this thing up. So let me know if you guys are going. If you are, it'd be cool to meet up with some people, show us the way. We've been there once before, but I mean, it's always a crapshoot trying to find the things that we're interested in. We always end up down some stupid off-the-grid stuff. Anyways, I'm rambling. Hopefully you liked the update. Let me know what you think of the machine. And next video, I'm hoping we got a startup for you, so stay tuned.